Disney has an amazing track record of making great movies. Just about every movie they put out is a potential blockbuster. So much so, in fact, that when a Disney movie winds up being a disappointment, it's really surprising and notable. And in this inaugural Quick 5 from Fresh Baked, we'll cover our top 5 most disappointing Disney movies in the last 20 years. From the very first piece of concept art revealed for Big Hero 6, I was personally super excited. The mix of cultures between San Francisco and Tokyo, or San Francisco, was tantalizing to say the least. The visuals looked promising, as did its story, revolving around an inflatable healthcare robot named Baymax. My enthusiasm grew with trailers that revealed an utterly adorable Baymax and what looked to be a rich and colorful supporting cast. I could not have been more excited to see this movie. And then I saw it, and I felt like I had seen something completely different than what was promised. Baymax delivered, loved Baymax, but the rest of the story was literal formula. The villain, there was virtually no tension in determining the villain, as we were given just two possibilities: the teacher or the super rich scientist guy, which by the way was way too obvious, so it has to be the teacher, which makes the uber Scooby-Doo mask reveal a total fail. And the cast, well, obviously again with the exception of Baymax, every one of them was cast directly from Cliché Town. There's the smart, capable young teen troubled by the loss of his older mentor, the antisocial one, the plucky, huggable one, the neurotic one, the goofy comic relief, the morally bankrupt guy, the sweet, fatherly teacher. Ooh, plot twist, the teacher's the bad guy. Meanwhile, I couldn't help but hate the idea that these kids were inventing stuff that was just completely infreaking possible. I know this is fantasy, but what they're doing with literally no resources and very little time and no money goes way beyond plausible, or at the very least, it's unconvincing. Wanted to love Big Hero 6, but I walked out nearly hating it. Thank goodness for Baymax. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the Tim Burton reboot of Alice in Wonderland. Technically, it was more of a sequel than a remake of the original Disney classic, but it was just weird and fun enough to make it a must-see, I think, for everyone. But the sequel, Through the Looking Glass, took whatever qualities that made the original work, isolated them, amplified them, and then left out the rest, including any kind of comprehensible story. It's as if Exhibit wrote and directed the film. Like when you make a copy of a copy, or when you microwave French fries, it just doesn't work. From the very beginning of the film, the viewer is bombarded with visuals after visuals everywhere. And I guess the visuals were pretty, but where is the story? Alice is a ship captain, and just what are they doing with Hatter's character, the Timekeeper, the Chronosphere? What the actual heck is going on? And I defy anyone to make sense of this horrific plot. By the way, this movie cemented the fact that we're pretty much sick of weird, drunk Johnny Depp. Until the moment Cars 2 was released, Pixar was perfect. Not a single failure on their resume. So naturally, expectations were high for the sequel to the smash hit Cars. Except somebody forgot to tell the writers why we loved Cars in the first place, or why we loved Pixar movies in general. Cars was great not because it was a movie about cars acting like humans. Cars was great because it was about relationships, about people, or cars if you will, about overcoming your own ego and understanding that there's more than one way to live a life. The fact that they were cars doing human things was funny, yes, but secondary. Then Pixar went and ignored all of that and made a spy movie. Why is it a spy movie? It lacked heart, it lacked humanity, and it lacked Lightning McQueen, to be honest. It's actually a Mater movie, and while everybody loves Mater, he's a sidekick, he's comic relief, he's not a lead. But they made him a lead, while Lightning pretty much just raced around and was a jerk to Mater. It was so obvious a cash grab by Disney that it may have cost them some significant goodwill with the Disney fan base, where we now look at other Pixar sequels with more than a little bit of suspicion. Perhaps the most personal film on the list for me, Saving Mr. Banks comes in at number 2, in spite of the fact that it received mostly positive reviews and was seen favorably by a lot of fans, but maybe they didn't see what I saw. Ostensibly, Saving Mr. Banks is meant to be the story of how one of Disney's treasured classics came to be, while also painting Walt Disney as a figure capable of drawing out the story from such a hard case like P.L. Travers, using the powers and magic of Disney. I can only imagine that Disney thought they were making a movie that painted Walt in a sort of heroic way, but what I saw was Walt essentially stealing this story from P.L. Travers. It's obvious the book was very personal to her, and she didn't want any part of giving it to Disney. And she fought it, but eventually relented due to the constant pressure from Walt. He even broke promises made to her in the film. He makes promises to her in the film and then breaks them. So by the time I was done watching the film, I was not inspired by Walt's accomplishment or the success of Mary Poppins. I felt sorry for Travers. She got done dirty. And to this day, I still can't believe this was a movie made by Disney. I love Mary Poppins. It was probably my favorite live-action Disney film. But after having seen this movie, it has tainted my feelings about the movie just a little bit. But I did love the scenes at Disneyland, though. Those were great. And finally, number 1 on this list is Haunted Mansion, and we'll start by making the obvious comparison to the Pirates of the Caribbean film, which was fantastic. So surprisingly good that, nobody saw it coming. And suddenly, it seemed like an awesome idea to turn other Disneyland attractions into movies, fertile ground upon which to grow more billion-dollar franchises. And then they made the Haunted Mansion movie the way that they made it, and everyone was left to ask why. You see, instead of making a Haunted Mansion movie that starred Eddie Murphy, they made an Eddie Murphy family comedy that happened to take place in the Haunted Mansion. I mean, yeah, there are comedic elements to the Haunted Mansion, but it's not a comedy. And let me repeat that. The Haunted Mansion attraction is not a comedy. What's more, there's already backstory written for the attraction. We know already the story of the Haunted Mansion, or at least parts of it. We have the bride and Captain Blood, so use them. Instead, we got some contrived plot with Master Gracey, a little bit of fan service, and a whole lot of lame jokes. Bottom line is that a Disneyland attraction movie should tell the story of that attraction. And I don't think anyone has any difficulty, for example, saying the Pirates of the Caribbean movie tells the story of the attraction. But I don't know a single person who is willing to agree that the Haunted Mansion film tells the story of the Haunted Mansion attraction. And it's for that reason that it is number 1 on my list of most disappointing movies, because that's what we want. That's what we're hoping for, is for the film to tell the story of the attraction. And those, Fresh Baked, are our top 5 most disappointing Disney movies of the last 20 years. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this list, or add your own nominations. Let us know in the comments below, and until next time, Fresh Baked! We've got lots more videos for you to see, so grab a churro and check out some of our other videos and have your mind blown by how much fun we're having. We truly are the best of Disney Bake Fresh Daily. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time. Fresh Baked!